It's been well over 7 months since the GTA 6 trailer arrived, and it's currently sitting at just over 200 million views. Not only has this trailer broke several records in the history of YouTube, excluding music videos of course, but it's been acting as a fuel for excitement, anticipation, and speculation for as long as it existed. Thousands of videos and posts on Reddit, as well as many other places, have been made, dissecting every single frame, going over the same images hundreds of times so as to not miss any detail. As of lately though, the word dissecting is putting it lightly, since we're at least a few weeks away from any potential screenshots and at least a couple more months for a second trailer, if we're going by the marketing timelines of the last two major releases from Rockstar, so RDR2 and GTA 5. The trailer's ability to further fuel the fans with information and offer a source of excitement is beginning to dry really heavily, as people now rely on mirroring the video or change the saturation levels just to feel something, I guess. But I don't blame people for that. Personally, I can count on one hand the few times I was just as excited for the release of a video game, like how many people are now for GTA 6. Going over the same trailer dozens of times and letting your imagination go wild. Gameplay mechanics and so on. Red Dead Redemption 2 was one of those rare occurrences for me, although I wasn't as desperate for news as I am now for this game. And it's understandable, as not only this is the most anticipated game in history, but it's also coming from one of the most secretive companies as well. So this dry period is part of the process, and as a way to entertain ourselves, why not go over the anticipation period of Rockstar's biggest games to date, beginning with GTA 6's predecessor, GTA 5. More specifically, I'm going over the trailers and screenshots and comparing them to how the final product ended up being like. It's important to note that not every single thing we see in the GTA 6 trailer is necessarily gonna be 100% in the game, or even that things we've seen will be present in the free roam as game mechanics. One good example in that regard is the highly speculated improved world destruction physics people thought we were gonna have just because the trailers for GTA 5 featured certain cutscenes from missions like the Blitz Play and Derailed, where things like walls are destroyed upon impact or trains crashing into each other, which didn't end up being in the free roam and were only featured during cinematics for dramatic purposes. So the same things can apply for the first and many more trailers to come for GTA 6. Stuff like alligators popping out of swimming pools might end up in the free roam as a scripted event, which would be awesome, but it can also be just a video that plays on the in-game version of TikTok. So we can't be 100% sure of anything until the game releases. Characters go through changes as well, from trailer 1, trailer 2, and so on up to the final release. Take Michael for example. In the second official trailer for GTA 5, where we can get a better look of him up close, we can see massive changes to his facial structure and even his body, as he initially looked about 10 years older than his age in the game, and while a life of crime and long sunbathing sessions in the climate of LS can certainly take a toll on your physical appearance, his character overall looked way too old to be a believable GTA protagonist. Not saying that someone at the age of 50, or at least that looks to be around that age, can't pull off the stuff Michael does in the story mode, but it certainly helped a lot doing a few important changes to his facial and body structure so as to make him look closer to a man in his early to mid 40s. Trevor and Franklin also received small tweaks to their appearances. They didn't necessarily have to do them, but they ended up looking better as well. And since I want to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2 as well, even Arthur Morgan received a much needed change to his facial structure, as he looked pretty uncanny at times, especially during this shot, which takes place during one of Strauss's missions. And something else that I like to point out, and has been a recurring theme in the trailers of both GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, is that even the cutscenes you see in the trailer have significant changes compared to the final product, with many of them taking place in different locations, or combining the cutscene of the mission with the background of another, like how in this shot, which takes place at the location of the Mission 3's company, contains motion capture and dialogue lines from the game's third ending. This is even more apparent in Red Dead Redemption 2's trailers, where in certain moments, characters from cutscenes are swapped with others, and the background of certain cutscenes differs from the actual game. Like how Agent Milton here appears to be in Blackwater, whereas in the final game, this takes place near the Horseshoe Overlook camp. So I'm about 99% sure that at least one or two cutscenes from the first trailer of GTA 6 has one or more elements different from what we will see in the game. Whether it's the background that is different or the dialogue used from Lucia's speech is actually taking place in a different spot rather than the motel room, we can't know for certain. But the key takeaway is to not take things as 100% true to the end product, as changes can and will happen at some point during development. As of now, many people created tons of theories regarding the story simply from the trailer and the only official artwork we've got of this game. While things like Lucia's possible inability to fully explore the map is pretty much guaranteed because of the ankle monitor shown in the artwork, others have created wild theories like the possibility of Jason to be an undercover cop trying to take down Lucia, with the speculation coming simply from his appearance and attire, and a few things shown in the trailer too, like the way he holds his gun. This is pretty funny to me because while scrolling on the r/GTA 6 subreddit once, I came across a post that featured people's theories regarding RDR2's story before the game even released, with many people also suggesting that Arthur is meant to be a cop or rather a bounty hunter, placed there to serve as an informant for the law, and others even suggesting that we would end up being John's rival and get killed off at the end. Well, at least half of that was true. The important thing to remember is that Rockstar does want all of us to be confused and create wild theories because 1, it creates excitement, and 2, because it allows them to surprise us with something most people never even thought of. Although a few people did actually predict RDR2's story almost entirely, by assuming that Arthur sacrifices himself for John, which did actually happen. So maybe someone already predicted the entire story of GTA 6 in a random Reddit comment. Taking another look at GTA 5, even the game world itself looks a bit different from trailer 1 and the screenshots we got in 2012 compared to the finished product. While the graphics were improved, looking closer to GTA 4 in the first trailer, the environment received an unfortunate downgrade, especially when it comes to vegetation. Now, of course, many people have already discussed at length the reasons as to why Rockstar decided to cut down on the many vegetation elements that we were supposed to get. And that had mostly to do with the fact that at its core, GTA 5 was developed for the PS3 and Xbox 360, the very same generation of consoles that the previous game, GTA 4, was also released on. So it's already very impressive that Rockstar managed to improve their game that much over its predecessor, considering they went with the same hardware. And it's not like they had any choice. GTA 5 released in September of 2013, while both the PS4 and Xbox One released 2 months later in November of the same year. So again, it's understandable that Rockstar had to limit themselves a bit. Many people have used this reduction in vegetation thing to argue against the amount of NPCs we've seen in this shot, with tons of people online claiming that it's impossible for Rockstar to have that many fully intelligent NPCs that each do their own thing and also have them react to something like an explosion or a gunshot all at the same time without massively impacting the frame rate of the consoles we're gonna get this game on, especially on the Xbox Series S. And while I'd like to think that the technical wizards at Rockstar have already or will find a way for the game to handle that many NPCs without setting the console on fire, of course, it's still a legitimate concern, and it could be possible for Rockstar to need to cut down a bit on their population density at times. But it's clearly not gonna be anything like GTA 5, where beaches have a couple NPCs at most. I'm just as eager and impatient for more news regarding GTA 6 as all of you are. So I thought this video might be a good opportunity to discuss things from the past and get excited for the future. But what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section down below. And while you're there, also leave a like. And of course, consider subscribing if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching.